Hello and welcome back to JMB Reviews
Reacts.
Reacts.
Okay.
I
I
think I
don't want to
watched
be a
like
React channel.
I don't either. That sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah.
But
Um,
anywho,
we're reviewing Vermiglio,
whoa,
which we saw yesterday. No, day
no,
before
two
yesterday.
is yeah.
We've seen a lot of movies recently.
We have total of 4.
Yeah. And this movie was fine. I don't know.
It was kind of just really boring.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie.
Cinematography was good because it's
hmm
like up in the mountains.
Yeah, it was.
Acting was good.
Yeah, there was a lot of different like camera moments and different like makings of the movie that looked really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that was
The
about it.
story was very slow
Boring.
and boring and depressing.
Yeah,
It's pretty much just like, look at this family that's like super, super, super Catholic and absolutely miserable.
yeah, and poor-ish. I
Yeah.
don't know if they were poor or just
Barely
didn't want
surviving.
to.
It's like, yay.
Yeah,
Um, and that's pretty much how the movie ended. Like
yeah.
the only glimmer of hope was that like um the one of the daughters, she like got pregnant with this guy and then he left her.
Well,
And then she was like super depressed.
he left to be a soldier, and then he like died in battle.
Yeah. But he had like had another wife and so she was like completely devastated and
Yeah,
um just gave up on life, gave birth, and like just left. And then the last little glimmer of hope at the end was, oh yeah, I have a baby, and she went home and like said hi to her baby.
yeah.
It's like, yay, she acknowledged her own son exists. That's really
Literally.
brave of her.
Yeah. It was it
Um,
was yeah. Well, for me it was subtitled and I never gained interest in it. So I just like let a lot of words go by and got like half the story probably. Cuz I
yeah,
was not intrigued at all and I was just like, "Ugh, can it be over now? Can it be over now?"
yeah, yeah. It was just not good.
Yeah.
Um, I was disappointed because I'm pretty sure it wasn't that like Italy's selection for like the
And
Oscars.
it's shortlisted
I
too.
was like, that's it?
It's
Italy,
shortlisted
come
too.
on. You can do better.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I wasn't impressed
Yeah.
particularly. I think we both kind of just gave it like, I don't know, 2 or 3 stars or something,
Yeah.
right?
I just was like, yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Like it was well
there.
made. I just
Yeah.
was like, that's all we're doing with the plot. We couldn't figure out any kind of a message to
There really
do, any
wasn't
kind
any
of
plot. It was just,
it
I
was
guess,
just
the
them
only plot.
existing and being miserable. It's
Yeah.
like, I have my own life to look at, thank you.
Damn. That's sad. That's so sad.
Anyway, and then we also watched Girl with a Needle.
Ugh. Then I did feel depressed.
That was a really bad pairing of movies.
That was
We saw both in the same day.
I wanted to.
Not fun. Not fun at all. So Girl with a Needle is like a gothic horror, which I like gothic horror.
I didn't like this gothic horror. I hated this movie.
um,
You kind of moderately were like, nah,
yeah.
about this movie.
So it's extremely dark.
hmm
Probably top 2 or 3 darkest movie I've ever seen.
I think this is
Um,
the darkest movie I've ever seen.
I mean, for me, Midsummer was up there.
Midsummer is up there. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's a
um,
whole other thought
it's
process.
about a woman. Well, it's not the main character, but the story is following the real events of a woman in Denmark after World War I, who um was taking people's unwanted babies and
Murdering them.
murdering them. So she killed like 45
Yeah.
babies or something. It's just so she was like the worst serial killer ever at the time or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so very dark, very gross,
Yeah.
not fun at all to watch.
No.
Um,
I literally thought about like leaving. I was
yeah,
like, can I just leave now?
yeah,
But I stuck around. Why, you ask? I don't know.
yeah.
And then we had the director talk to us afterwards, and he compared the baby murderer to Batman, and I was like,
Okay,
"Oh
no,
yikes!"
it wasn't that bad.
He was like, "Just
He
like
was just
just how
saying,
Gotham needs Batman,
no,
Denmark needed
no,
this
that's
lady." I
not
was
what
like,
he said. That is not what he said. What he said was similar to like superheroes and supervillains where you make like a bigger than life character. That's what they wanted to do with her, is make her like terrifying and like a larger than life character. That's what he was trying to say. He wasn't saying that
It's
she was
it came
a
across as
he wasn't
he was
saying she was a
Batman.
superhero.
I was like, girlfriend,
Um
no.
um okay, so I guess I'll talk about the positives because you absolutely hated it and found no positives.
Yep.
For me, well, the cinematography was some of the best I've ever seen, actually. It's
Yes.
black and white. It's got a gothic aesthetic, but the cinematography was incredible.
Yeah.
Like there's no like, supernatural monster or anything to make this like your usual horror movie, but there's like some terrifying shots.
Yeah.
There's one in particular where it was just her, the main character, and her husband, who has like a mask on because he was in the war and got a facial like
He got like
injury.
burned or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so you wear like a plastic mask, and there's one shot. I don't know if you remember it, but when they're like walking up the steps, and then her landlady is like, "What are you doing, bringing someone up there?"
Oh
And
yeah.
her husband was standing in the dark, but because he had glasses on, the light was glinting off of his glasses and making his it looked like glowing eyes in the
Oh
dark.
sure.
That was such a good shot.
That was a good shot.
So there was like some really, really good cinematography.
There was.
Um,
That's the only props I can give to this movie is the
and the
making of
acting
it
was
was
really
good.
good.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was really well made and real well directed.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair, I don't think it was without a purpose because and the director was saying this like he wanted to kind of highlight that society that, was just kind of throwing the poor in the gutter.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was obviously horrible that this woman was taking and killing these babies, but in reality, there was nothing to do
Mm-hmm.
with the unwanted children because um the like adoption services were absolutely just like terrible. And so, you know, it's one of those things where it's like that should never have been able to happen, and the reason it was able to happen, her being able to have all these kids dropped off at her house to just kill, was because of that society. And so I think it was trying to do commentary on that, and I appreciate it for that. And I also thought it at least attempted to end on a glimmer of hope. I mean, we've hated on movies like The Whale where it just ended with just the person dying and there's like no hope and it's just like what was the purpose of
I
that?
would have rather it ended on
This
that.
this ended with the main woman. You think that she killed herself but she survived. She goes back to her husband and she adopts a kid, which was not hopeful enough considering how dark the movie goes, but I
Especially when the
appreciated it
kid
for at
was the
least
daughter.
trying.
Especially when the kid was the daughter of the baby
I
murderer.
know, but it wasn't the kid's fault.
No, but she was also crazy.
Yeah, which was not her fault. And so the woman was.
Still.
I took it to mean we know that the main character is a good person. So that means that she's gonna save the kid, like, and teach the kid how to actually love.
I guess,
I
but
took that meaning from it, which was actually somewhat hopeful to me.
that's fair. I never saw the main character as a good person besides when she was like turned her in for being a baby murderer, but that was about it, you know.
I didn't think she was a bad person.
I for the most of the movie I was like she's not doing great good things, you know.
I don't think she did anything bad. Um. Anyway, yeah, it was not a fun movie to watch. I'll never watch it again. But
No.
I mean, we also just kind of rate movies differently. You kind of rate movies based off of like enjoyment. I try to be like objective about like was this like well made,
Sure.
that kind of thing. And so that's kind of why we have such different ratings for it.
Yeah. I yeah, I really didn't like this movie just because mainly because it's about that, and also for me it was too vague in what its message was trying to be.
I agree with that. I saw the message and I appreciated it, but for me the level of disgusting acts that it depicts
Mhm.
was not matched by the
No.
message. The message was somewhat subtle,
Yeah.
and the things that the movie depicts are not subtle at all.
No. For
And
me,
so I think that is a weakness is if you're going to depict that much,
mhm.
that just makes the audience squirm in their seats and want to leave.
Mhm.
You better have your message be like so inspiring, so life changing that it
Yeah.
makes it worth it. And this was not an inspiring, life changing message.
No.
So I think that is a weak. I think that's where the movie fails to be what it could have been.
Yeah.
It's just not having a strong enough message to match the rest of the movie.
Yeah. For me, I didn't get the message that you did, and I just came out of it being like, "This is an awful." Like for me, it was like I watched it and I was like, "Okay, so this is a true story that people in Denmark all know about and like talk about it as if like they're just passing through, you know, like they
Mm-hmm.
all know the story and like talk about the story all the time, so it's not like it's a story that needs to be told like some historical depictions are where it's like this person's inspiring so we're going to tell a story to inspire others, you know. It wasn't inspiring either obviously, and so it was just like for me it felt like there was no reason to make the movie, and like the the movie was just so horrifically horrifying, and like just it just felt unnecessary to me, you know,
Mm.
even though it was really well made and like really well acted and all these things. There was just so many times where I was just like, I hate this and there was no reason for this, you know.
I mean, I feel like you could probably say the same thing about a lot of like true crime movies where
Well, sure.
like that makes me like that complaint makes me think of like the Jeffrey Dahmer like Netflix show that a lot of people had issues with where it's like why are we just like depicting him killing people, like what is the
Yeah,
purpose of what are we learning
yeah,
from this, because I don't want to just watch an actor depict him killing people.
exactly.
And I think that's fair. I mean,
I haven't seen the Jeffrey Dahmer
I
Netflix
haven't
special,
either. I
but
just knew that it was very controversial for that reason as well.
it's fair. I just
But
it felt very it was very well done in making you feel like you were like actually there for the killings of certain things. And I was just like, I did not need this in my life
mhm,
and didn't want this in my life. And so I was like, no, you know?
yeah.
So yeah.
Anywho,
That's why I really didn't like it.
yeah,
But
definitely don't watch that movie unless you're prepared
ready,
for
yeah. You gotta
an
know what you're
interesting
getting into.
time. Yeah, not for the faint of heart. Okay.
No.
Anyway,
Anyway,
goodbye.
goodbye.